All right. Well, Mr. Stephen, I appreciate you hopping on here with us and doing a case study call with us. For anybody who's watching, any church that watches this, if you don't know who we are at GM Baptist Outreach, we help churches set up what's called a Digital Tract Ministry. We work with over 215 churches all around the world and around the country as of right now. And these case study calls we're about to do, Mr. Stephen, is just really us interviewing other churches that are doing the Digital Tract Ministry, just allowing people to hear it, from somebody's own lips, kind of what the Lord's doing with it in their church. And so, with that being said, though, I'm going to go ahead and, Steve, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us about your church and where y'all are and everything, just so people can get a little background about you.
Absolutely. So my name is Stephen Wireman. I'm the assistant pastor at our church, Faith Baptist Church in Chelsea, Michigan. Our average Sunday morning attendance is right around 220. We're a country church. We have a dirt road, and so we're not like in the middle of a city or anything. We're in a more liberal area. Chelsea, Michigan is known pretty close to Ann Arbor, so we get a lot of the liberal mindset. And so sometimes our outreach efforts can be pretty hard, rejected pretty quick. But that's a little bit about our church.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you said that about your area, though, as far as
Mm.
rural area wise. Well, and the liberal piece, because people will ask us, do these things work like in Democrat areas? Do they work in,
Mm.
rural areas, populated areas? What do they work best in? And we have churches in every demographic, every area, every demographic. But just so people do know how, like, culturally, your church, a little background about it, what's y'all's population size kind of around your church? Are y'all in like a large population size or?
No, not very large. To reach, it's not as rural as the church that you go to or that you're the pastor of, and you were explaining how to set up your geo fence when it comes to the actual ad. I think we went out 13 miles to get to that target number. And so it's not like we're 5 miles or 6 miles or anything like that. We had to expand some.
Yeah, for sure. And that's perfect. So y'all aren't super, super populated though. Y'all ain't like
Mhm.
saturated. Now, and just so everybody knows, you use the term geofencing or geofence. He's talking about the radius around the church where the ad's running, which is kind of the same thing as geofencing. I just want everybody to know, like, before everybody starts messaging us, is this geofencing? It's actually not geofencing. All right, it's just paid
Sorry, I
advertising.
apologize. Okay.
That terminology, we get asked that all the time. Are y'all doing geofencing? We're actually not. Geofencing is kind of different, but
Okay.
you're using the same term for basically just where the ad's running. But I just
Right,
want to
right, right.
clarify that for anybody who might be listening. But with
Sorry.
that, yeah, right. With that being said, we want to do a case study basically and talk with y'all about y'all's digital tracking ministry. So y'all set it up, y'all been utilizing the software for a little while now. Like we
Mhm.
discussed earlier, y'all ran two campaigns, and we'll talk about both of them. But let's talk about that first one first. So tell us. I want to say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You said y'all tracked, as far as y'all could tell, around 50 something first time visitors from your digital track ministry, possibly. With that being said, I'm gonna let you clarify that number. I'm probably wrong. My mind's terrible. But tell us about your special day event y'all did. What was the details around that day? Like, what y'all have going on? And how many first-time visitors you have as a whole, not just from your digital track ministry, but just as a whole. How many first-time visitors did y'all have on that day?
Absolutely. So that day was called Harvest Sunday. It was the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and we do it every year. We just have a normal Sunday morning service. We don't have any Sunday school beforehand, but after the Sunday morning service, we have a free big meal for everyone that our church puts on. Um, we have quite a few uh, very good cooks in our church, and so we it's almost catered style, and so that's kind of nice. But so we have a
Yeah.
big meal after the fact. But when we ran the ad, we ended up having 56 first-time visitors that day, and that was obviously a record for us when it came to first-time visitors. We actually had our record Sunday as well that we have record of. I think we had 318 people on that Sunday, which
Wow.
was a lot.
Yeah. So on that day, just the 56 first time visitors you referred to,
Mhm.
is that how many y'all had total, or is that like what y'all seen from the Digital Tract Ministry?
That was total. I would say probably 30 of that was from the Digital Tract Ministry.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. That
So,
way we can have a little clarity.
mhm,
So as far as 50 something first time visitors is just phenomenal. Number one, that's
mhm,
awesome. Most churches, there's a lot of churches that don't see 50 first time visitors in a whole year. So
right.
to see that in one service is, just really, really awesome. And all y'all did was a harvest Sunday. Y'all just ate afterwards. There wasn't really nothing else as far as that goes special going on. So that's great results. So just for everybody watching, like let's kind of backtrack and just kind of go over what all y'all did outreach wise to get that many visitors to one service. And I know y'all did the Digital Track Ministry, but was there anything else y'all did outreach wise to produce that?
There honestly wasn't. We posted some on our social media, just kind of making our page more active.
Mm-hmm.
But other than promoting it largely within our own church, asking people to invite people, and we didn't we didn't hang a lot of stuff up. We didn't,
Yeah.
and so it was just through the track ministry as well as just our own people inviting.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome, man. That's great news.
that's very
So
great.
no outreach apart from just church members inviting folks and the Digital Track Ministry. So they know for a fact 30 something came from the Digital Track Ministry. Altogether, they had 50 something and broke record attendance. That's phenomenal. That's awesome news. Now, with that being said, though, let's go over your second campaign because we were talking a little
Mhm.
bit before this,
Yeah.
just to give everybody the good, bad, and ugly about these.
Hmm.
That the Digital Track Ministry, it ain't a get growth quick scheme.
Hmm.
Like, because you hear, results like that, like 50 something first time visitors, and then everybody thinks, when they run these ads, they're going to get, 50 first time visitors. So tell us about the second campaign y'all did just recently that you would tell me about.
Yeah, leading up to that, my pastor, it was quite funny because he was very skeptical, obviously, and
Yeah.
so he is not techie at all. Like we didn't even have a Facebook page, and
Oh,
so
wow.
like so we were getting kind of catching up to the social media aspect of things, and so that first Sunday when we actually like because we obviously had all these responses coming in of the people planning their visits, and he's like, I just don't know who's going to show up. And then we had this great result, and he's like, I can't believe this. Like he's
This is
telling other
awesome.
pastors. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so he got very involved for the next one coming up, which was Christmas. We did a Christmas one. We did one in the morning as well as the evening. We have what's called a fruit Sunday. Our old pastor, he's passed away now, but he was here or he's had this tradition going for a long, long time where everyone that comes to church on the Sunday before Christmas gets a bag of fruit. And we've done it forever. And so that's what we do.
Yeah.
And we still had, I think, five first time visitors from the Digital Track Ministry for that. And then that Sunday evening, we did a Christmas cantata, a play with the choir music as well.
Mhm.
Um, we really don't exactly know how many we got from that because that was challenging because, lights are down. Um, People are coming in late. A lot of the people that would have been doing the meet and greet for visitors were in the choir or in the play, and so that was a little bit more challenging, but we thought right around 10 total people came from the uh, Digital Track Ministry
Yeah.
on that Christmas Sunday.
For sure. And so so maybe all together Christmas Sunday, y'all might have seen 10 visitors from the Digital Track
Yeah,
Ministry. And I think I probably already know why. So tell me again, when you ran these ads, you ran them for both services, like the ad was promoting both services?
it was. Yeah. So the way we did it was we built those how you can have the special questions after the fact if you've ever been to church, or we built
Yeah.
a special one that says, are you planning on coming to, the morning service for Fruit Sunday, the evening service for the play, or for both? And so we kind
Yeah.
of built it out that way so we could talk to those people specifically about it.
And it would go essentially, did y'all have an
Mhm.
if else condition in the automation where it would split based on what day they chose or no?
We actually, I don't know that we did that. We did a lot of manual texting about
Okay.
the days specifically,
Yeah.
but.
So for
We
future
should have done
references,
that.
just in case y'all do it again, in the
Mm.
automation, y'all can actually have it
Yeah,
split off based on which answer they
which
chose.
response?
Yeah, and that way you can kind of have the text messages tailored, the reminders tailored towards that service time. Now,
That
here's
makes more
what I will
sense.
say though, when it comes to that. So we normally, what was your lead cost for that hire?
No.
You don't remember, or is it about the same lead cost?
Maybe like a dollar or two higher, but it wasn't
Okay,
like
not
astronomical or anything.
Not too bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
we normally try to recommend not running more than two service times in an ad. Like we
Mm.
try and recommend to keep it about focus on one service time. Now, having two services in the same day, that's not that bad. I thought you were going to tell me that y'all did like a service the Saturday evening and then the Sunday morning or
Oh
something.
no, same day, same
Yeah, I was
day.
about to say when we see ads that they're trying to promote two different days, two different like times, we never see great results. Like you need to focus it on one day, one time. But since y'all kind of had one day, two different times in the same day, it's a little bit different. Those aren't too bad. But yeah, whenever you're doing two different days, I encourage them just to find which day you want to do and promote that. So
Mhm.
that probably didn't do a whole lot of damage to your ad as far as that goes. But with that being said, we brought that up just to say that, they only seen 10 first-time visitors for their Christmas ad one, They seen 50 for their Harvest Sunday, and then y'all seen 10 for Christmas. And so, I mean, 10 first-time visitors is still awesome,
It's
Still,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's still a beautiful thing, seeing 10 visitors, 10 souls. But it's not a get gross quick scheme. I mean, like we were discussing, sometimes you'll do them and you'll knock it out the park. You'll see a bunch of visitors.
Mhm.
Sometimes you'll do them. You might just see, a couple families, 10 visitors total, which is still awesome. But compared to the first one y'all did, I'm sure it was like, just like, man, that one didn't work
Yeah,
at
we
all.
had all these like, the coffee mugs set up that we were hoping to give out, and because
Yeah,
the one thing that we found interesting was we had about the same amount of people register, just a whole lot less actually show up
yeah.
for that
What,
Christmas one.
was the weather good that day too? There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
the
it was
weather.
decent. No, it
Yeah.
was decent.
Hmm. Yeah, and so kind of like we discussed, and for anybody watching, I think this is a good topic. You normally will see better results on off-season Sundays than Sundays where you're competing with all the other churches.
Mhm.
Like Christmas time, Easter, typically you'll still see good results. You can still run ads like, 10 first-time visitors. That's awesome.
Sure.
Like Easter, you'll still see visitors, but those higher number of visitors, like, 50, 60, 70, like we have some case study videos where they've seen over 100 first-time visitors. But most of the churches that have those high first-time visitor counts, like really high, are when they do special day events on off season, days. Like, they
Mhm.
do a special day event and it's not on Easter, it's not on, Christmas or Thanksgiving. It's actually, in November, or like we've seen some people do have really big days in like August, like some of them days where there's nothing else really going on that you're competing
Mhm.
with other churches. So that's just a tidbit of information for anybody that are thinking of setting it up.
Mhm.
But you'll still see visitors for Christmas, Easter, things of that nature though with it. So, but that's awesome. Man, that's awesome news. Do you have any feedback on it in your mind? Anything you've learned since doing this, like starting to implement in your church that kind of caught you off guard? You wasn't like, you didn't know, you know what I mean? Like any insight like that?
So one thing that we like, uh, when we first started, and even the whole concept of it, we were trying to figure out like how do we gauge it as successful, right? And
Yeah.
figuring that out, because obviously it's a different goal than if we were to go out, door knocking or walking in parades, or because throughout the summer we'll do parades and we'll pass out maybe 6,000 John and Romans. We'll go through 10,000 tracks a year when it comes to door knocking and even just people picking up tracks. But obviously it's a different goal, as opposed to just getting scripture out, but as opposed to getting people in the church to present the gospel in face to face that way. And
Yeah.
so that was something that we were trying to figure it out because, um, and you've said it before, it doesn't replace either one. It
Yeah.
doesn't replace door knocking, doesn't, and getting more people involved is something that we really found helpful for our church family, right? Because you could in theory do all of this with one person just running everything, like one
Yeah.
person making the ads, one person. But we found that the more people that we got involved from our church, like having different families make ads, having different demographics make ads, some people even being responsible for responding to text messages, having it more of a church family effort as opposed to a single person effort, we found that to be pretty effective as well, helping the church out, even more so than bringing people in.
Yeah.
So that was
No,
one thing that we found.
absolutely. And I don't know if you've seen, I did a case study with AJ Nichols. He's the associate pastor, Brother Ross's church, Jerry Ross, I think. I think it's like Hope Baptist Church or Good Blessed Hope Baptist Church, something like that. Anyways, they seen like 200 something first time visitors at this is the biggest one we've ever seen, but they had like 200 something first time visitors to a food truck Sunday they do, where they
I
have
did
like
watch that
food
one.
truck. Yeah, did you watch
Yeah.
it? Well, something he said in that interview that was very fascinating to me that I thought is very good information. And anybody who's watching this, I encourage y'all to go watch that case study video because he said something that I think is very important when it comes to this ministry that we hear from a lot of churches that they learn from doing this ministry. But he says in that video, the first time they did these ads, they seen like 30 or 40 first time visitors, something like that. But they didn't have a whole lot of them come back. They didn't retain them. And they said they realized that, obviously it wasn't the Digital Tract Ministry's fault because the visitors came in,
Mm-hmm.
but they realized that they felt like there was something on their end that they weren't prepared to welcome that many first time visitors, like
Mm-hmm.
that's was not something their church was really prepared for. So they said when they did that second ad for the food truck Sunday, they said they prioritized. They got a team together like for like greeting people and different things, and they said, listen, we're gonna like this time we're gonna do it different as far as like greeting visitors and trying to get people in relationships, different things. And he talked about how they even had like they don't even do a parking lot team. He said, but that Sunday they made sure they had people in the parking lot, welcoming people, all kinds of different stuff. And they prioritized trying to get these people, in a relationship with a good experience and getting them to come back. And
Mm-hmm.
he said that that was one of the things they did different from the first campaign to that other one they did. And they said when that they had that big day, the Lord sent like 200 something first time visitors, which was just phenomenal. And but he said what was so amazing about it is they had like 60 or so. I think you have to go watch the video. I can't remember exactly how much he said, but he said their average Sunday attendance grew by 60 for the next 2 months after that special day event. When he did that case study with me, it was 2 months after they did that special day event, and he said averagely every Sunday morning they've had 60 extra people since that special day event. So they've retained around 60 something first time visitors. And another thing that he said was that I thought was interesting was he talked about how they really hit the follow up really hard afterwards. Like in the
Mm-hmm.
system, in the software, they were doing bulk texting to those who didn't show up, and they were really, prioritizing messaging these people and stuff after that service was over that didn't come, even the ones that did. And he said they started seeing a lot of people trickle in after the service was over that never came, but because they did like a real hard strategy following up afterwards, they seen a lot of them coming in after that Sunday was over. And so I said that to say this, what they learned was that they didn't have a good process to keep people, and he said like, man, they've changed all kind of stuff since that day to better, greet people and retain people. But I thought that was a tidbit that was really, to me, very encouraging because we see that with churches all the time. Like they all say the same thing. They're like, yeah, we just weren't prepared to welcome 30 first time visitors, we just weren't prepared for it. And I think it teaches you that to be like, you know what, we got to be more more prepared for stuff like that. So
We were pretty conscientious of that coming into it. And so we actually had like a separate table set up with, all the different gifts that we were going to give out. We had, multiple greeters set up at the intake stations. Now,
amen.
if we had had like 75, I still think we've been okay, but
Yeah.
we were uh we were pretty focused on that to make sure that we had the extra manpower. The one thing about and just kind of bragging on the church people here, and really
Yeah.
nothing to do with us, but they're very friendly people.
Amen.
um they're one thing that our church kind of focuses on is, so a lot of people expect a church to be friendly, right? But when people come into a church, they expect that, but what they're really looking for is a friend.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty good. And that's kind
For
of the
sure.
mentality that a lot of our church people have, is like, not just be friendly, but how can I actually be their friend?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's a cultural thing. That's something that
Sure.
you and the pastor create that culture to have that
Mm,
atmosphere, and I think that's a great thing for sure. I tell our
mm,
church all the time, people need Jesus, but they want friends.
yeah,
And most of the times, like, we can try and get them Jesus, but they won't come back unless they got friends.
yeah,
And sometimes they got to get friends before you can get them Jesus. And
right.
so no, and that's good though. But that's definitely y'all doing a good job creating that culture of
Mm,
community. So well, that's
yeah.
awesome. Well, with that being said, we'll kind of wrap it up with just like your experience in Digital Tract Ministry, all that. I mean, so in your mind, do you think the Digital Tract Ministry is something that you would recommend, that you think a lot of churches should be doing? Because the reason I ask this is because we have a lot of people that watch these case studies, dude, and they're like super skeptical. Like every church we ever talk to, they always say the same thing. Man, I was so skeptical at first, or I was wondering if this is too good to be true, or different things like that. And so, like in your mind, do you think it's a needed thing in the day and hour we live in for churches to have for outreach?
Yeah, absolutely. When I took my pastor, it was funny. My pastor actually forwarded me an email he received from you, kind of like a mass text email or a mass email went out, and he thought it was something completely different. And I went through and I started watching videos. I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty interesting. And so like I did the demo call, and so I went to him and I was like, all right, this is probably how much it's going to cost, and it's a month by month thing. And he's like, well, we can try it. And now he's like, when are we running the next one? How do we keep it going? Like we're
Yeah,
looking. He's like looking at making more events just so we can run ads specifically for different events. And
that's
so
awesome.
it is extremely effective. I don't see us not having ads anytime soon. Like we'll definitely keep them going.
That's
Um,
awesome, man.
one testimony I did want to tell you about on in more than just numbers and how the Lord used Digital Tract Ministry. Um, so we did see people saved on Harvest Sunday, which was incredible. But another thing that
Yeah,
we had, and it's a little somber. So we had a young lady come. She was 17. She had a little one with her, 6 months old. 6 months old. She had never been to church, and she went home, told her mom. She said, "I found the best church in the world," and she was so excited. She went out, bought a dress, and she was so excited to come back. But um, tragically, that next week, that little one passed away,
mm,
and it was hard, but. Oh, I'm going to tear up just talking about it. But she had somewhere to go to.
yeah,
Whereas that week before, had she not seen that ad, had she not been in this church, she, she would not have had the Lord to lean on. She wouldn't have
yeah,
had that access to the Lord to lean on. And our church family, when it came around her and lifted her up and tried to support her the best we could. And, our pastor did the funeral for that little one. But it was all really due to the Lord using Digital Track Ministry to get that girl in this place at that time. And so
yeah.
just this little testimony about like, yeah, numbers are great, but they're
Uh,
people.
Amen.
So
Amen. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you
yeah,
saying that, honestly. Yeah, I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, there's nothing that we're doing,
right.
for any of this. When people hear about this stuff, like even like testimonies like that, at the end of the day, God blesses what He uses for His glory.
Mhm.
This isn't. There's nothing good about the Digital Track Ministry apart from God blessing it. And that's awesome, man. I appreciate you saying
Yeah.
that. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, before we go, anything else you want to add on to there?
I don't think so. Just
Good.
if you're debating on using Digital Track Ministry, I cannot recommend it highly enough. So that's about it.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on, dude. And
Yeah,
Mr. Steven, any other way we can help y'all with anything, just let us know. And appreciate your time today, though.
absolutely.
Y'all have a blessed one. Bye bye.